Horn down.
All right, so tonight we're going to be talking about how to feed muscle and burn fat, and that's how you're going to get the body that you've always wanted. Um, so when you do that, you got to address both nutrition and exercise. But sometimes people think it's just all about, it's all about doing a bunch of cardio or over-exercising, but it's going to be mostly about nutrition. So really the purpose of tonight's webinar is to really hopefully hold up some hard truths of things you may have been doing that maybe sabotage, or also things that maybe that you didn't want to believe that you've heard now for the next time, and now you're finally going to believe it because you've heard it from multiple sources, including myself. Provide solutions and hope as well, because we want you to be able to have hope after this 4 weeks that maybe you've tried a lot of things in the past, different diets, different exercise plans, and they haven't worked. And we wanted to approach this from, getting your hormonal environment in place. And that's where a lot of times we just focus on calories, how many calories you burn, how many calories we cut. And we want to give you solutions that are real and start your breakthrough here in the next 4 weeks. What's the problem we see today in our culture? What are we taught? I talk about cardio. Women are taught to do cardio. That's the way that it's so ingrained in them. It's crazy that how many women, when they think about losing weight, they start running, they start getting on the elliptical, they start doing tons and tons of cardio. And this guy named Davis took 1,000 women, and he did aerobics only for a year and asked if they were, how many of them at the end of the year reached their fitness goals. And at the end of that year, out of those 1,000 women, I'm doing tons of cardio, aerobics only exercise, no strength training, not really watching what they eat. 0 out of 1,000 people met that goal. So we've been lied to. We've been lied to by the health club industry, who basically rents cardio machines. We've been lied to by the home exercise equipment people that basically rent you a nice expensive clothes hanger. And cardio is really part of the solution, but it's not. It's in my opinion, from my experience doing fitness for over 20 years, it's number 3 in the ranking. And if we have more health clubs than ever, more cardio machines out there than ever, why are we getting heavier as a nation? Right now, we're a third of our population is considered obese, and that's, we look at body composition, which is when you guys do your assessments for this Beauty Body Makeover, you will get done as our gold standard for determining what's obesity. Because somebody could have a big frame and a lot of muscle, and they might weigh more, but it's his muscle versus body fat, and that's what we want to look at. Men, we want to be under 25%, ideally about 15 to 20%. Women, you want to be about 20, 25% in a healthy range. Anything under 20 for women is going to be considered athletic. So these are the things we want to look at. And the scary thing is that those of us that have kids, we're starting to see type 2 diabetes in our children, and this could be the generation that doesn't always outlive their parents. So this is more than just you getting healthier. We want to teach you things that you can help your family with, too, so your kids don't have problems down the road, and even your spouse, if you have a spouse that you're trying to get going, this information is important for them, too. So, we got a real problem in this country, and, things we've been doing in the past haven't been working, so we want to start speaking truth. What else do we see? If we look at TV, we see The Biggest Loser. We see what do we see on The Biggest Loser? We see people getting the crap beat out of them, basically pain, soreness, puking. That's how you have to lose weight, and that's not the best way to go about it. That actually can be counterproductive. And most of those people from The Biggest Loser typically gain the weight back after they get out of the camp. They're in the camp or the ranch, or whatever you want to call it. They're basically working out all day. They're getting all their meals prepared for them. I mean, that's not real life. I always call it unreality TV. And a lot of things they do on there, the trainers even admit, aren't safe things to be doing. They do it for ratings. But people believe in that, and they believe that that's the way they got to do it. And that's one extreme. Then we go to the other extreme where people want to do the magic bullet. I still hear commercials on the radio that espouse, the magic bullet approach. One of them was Sensa, which is something you just sprinkled on your food, and that was what you could do. And they would say you don't have to diet or exercise, you don't have to watch you eat or exercise, which is a big fat lie. Or some magic pill, or Dr. Oz has come under a lot of heat lately because he's been talking about these magic herbs and magic supplements, and he had to actually go up in front of Congress. So there is nothing to substitute good hard work and effort over time. And weight that came on overnight isn't going to go off overnight. If it does, like a lot of these things you'll see on TV or on the side of the road, lose 40 pounds in 30 days and these crazy things, it's probably going to be a lot of muscle weight. We're going to address that a little bit down the road. The actual goals we want to be looking at is muscle hypertrophy, meaning that muscle is metabolic. We want to add muscle. And muscle, you're not going to bulk up. Women have about a quarter of the amount of male hormone them than men do, so it's a lot harder for them to add muscle. And by adding muscle, what you do is increase your metabolism. So every pound of muscle is going to probably add about 20 to 50 calories to your metabolism. And so we want to add muscle and we want to lose fat. We don't want to lose weight. We want to lose fat. Make sure that we're actually losing the right kind of weight. And we've had people in our studio lose not very much weight, but they lose a lot of inches and they look totally different because they're losing fat and they're gaining muscle. So sometimes the scale doesn't reflect that. And they'll say, well, I'm not losing any weight, even though my clothes are fitting better. I've dropped the clothing size, and I can see definition. Well, so we got to look at body composition again. So that's the real goal. Joint mobility and moving better. Why is that important to fat loss? We got to be doing flexibility and mobility because most of us work in bad postural situations. I'd say most people work in a sitting in front of a computer. They sit in a car, and that creates imbalances in the body. When your body's imbalanced, your body's not going to be moving well, which is going to create inflammation. Inflammation creates a hormone called cortisol, a stress hormone. And hormones, when you have stress hormone like cortisol that's in high amount in your body, when you have excess of cortisol, it's really hard to burn fat and add lean muscle. So we want to make sure we're moving good too, especially if we have that sitting job which doesn't allow us. And now maybe if you're a yoga teacher or a personal trainer like we are, you're on your feet, you have good posture, but most people, we're talking about the majority of people. So that should be part of that because we want to control cortisol and inflammation in the body so that hormone in your body can be primed to burn fat. Why do most programs fail? See this a lot, is not knowing where to begin. Most people just kind of jump. They'll do a haphazard approach. We see this at the beginning of the year. This is classic when, they'll plan their family vacation down to the last detail, but when it comes to losing weight and getting healthy, it's a haphazard approach. Jump on a treadmill, jump on an elliptical, join a health club, no real plan. And that kind of goes with number 3, not having a plan. Fail to plan to fail. So a lot of times they just do cardio. And we saw earlier they did the 1,000 women that did cardio for a year. 0 of them hit the goal. And it's kind of like going to California without using a GPS or a MapQuest or whatever from here. Just kind of driving and hoping to find your destination. And a lot of times it's an incomplete program. It's very cardio-based. Or on the flip side, some people just try to diet without exercise, and you really need a multifaceted attack. Number 2 kind of is one big one, too, is people kind of play that game of so many calories, I can eat this. And, calories in, calories out just doesn't cut it anymore for those of you, anybody that knows about what's going on with nutrition. And so it doesn't work that way. There's hormonal implications of eating the wrong things that can cause you to store body fat even if your calories are low. And a lot of people we frankly find don't eat enough. That's one of the problems. Their metabolism is slowed down because they're not eating enough, and they've kind of, in a way, sabotaged their metabolism, and they're still 50 pounds overweight. So you can't outwork a bad diet. Abs are made in the kitchen, not the gym. There's some sayings out there, and I totally agree because nutrition is something that's a day. It's something you got to focus on throughout the day. Working out, exercise, probably going to do it once a day, and you're done thinking about it. But you got to be focusing on nutrition 78% of the time. That means you got to be doing things to make that nutrition successful. That means you're going to have to put a little extra time into this piece. Prepping meals, shopping, and most people aren't doing that. They're kind of in a reactive mode where they're running from kids activity or from work and, swinging through a drive-thru, grabbing something quick and easy. And, it's crazy. I was just in Costco tonight before this seminar getting some good food for the house, and there's people in there, after they're done shopping, what do? They stop and they get a pizza or a hot dog, and it's like, go home and eat your good food. And, it does take some discipline and some work to do the nutrition right, and that's where, but like I said, that's 70% of your results. You want to put a lot of effort, and that a lot of it's mental effort and putting time aside to make this part work, and this is where you're going to see the biggest gain, biggest return on your investment. Number 4, we kind of just touched on that earlier, dieter's mentality, quick fix. Once again, I'm going to repeat that. Weight that comes on over years isn't going to go away overnight. There isn't a magic bullet. You want to lose it steadily. You don't want to lose it too fast, or you're going to lose muscle. Number 5 is lack of professional guidance or no accountability. Most of us have people in our lives that do things for us. I know I have a guy who does my taxes. I have a business coach. I have somebody who invests my retirement funds. People that know and study the things I don't have time to learn or don't want to learn, and I just need, here, hand this over to you. You figure this out. Show me how I need to get there as quick as possible. And also for accountability's sake. Most of us are good at certain things and other things we're not good at. Got to be accountable when the things that we struggle with that we're not naturally good at. We need to find somebody, a coach or a buddy or something that's going to hold us accountable so we can move forward. And I just mentioned I have a business coach. Running a personal training business is a whole different skill set than being a personal trainer. So I have a business coach to keep me accountable and keep me focused on what's important, and that's the same thing with a fitness person like myself or my staff. That's probably the number one reason people come in and say they hire us. And then no purpose or goal. Why are you doing this thing? You got to define that. And everybody got that in their Beauty Body Makeover guide. When you get with your training, you got to go back to that why. What's the purpose that you want to get healthier? And you got to go deeper than I'm going to lose a few dress sizes and I want to feel better about myself. What's holding you back by not being in shape? What are things that you're missing out on, or what things are you, or what areas of your life is it affecting? Is it that you don't have any energy to play with your kids? Maybe you want to go, you have a trip coming up. I know I talked to one participant today, and they said they had a trip coming up and they wanted to be in shape for this mission trip coming up, and it was good to have a deadline, and it was a good start to have that going, and she was obviously very fired up about it. And it's got to be something that fires you up, something that gets you emotional, because there's going to be days you want to hit the snooze button on the clock and not get out of bed and go exercise. There's also going to be those days where you're going to want to eat that big, juicy-looking dessert or whatever, and you probably shouldn't because you just had a big meal like a couple days ago, and you probably should skip it this night. But what's going to make you resist that? And the only thing that's going to do that is not going to be one of my trainers standing over your shoulder giving you the evil eye. It's going to be your purpose or goal that's going to hold you strong. You want to get a complete program, and that's what we really talk about in this next 4 weeks. We want to really kind of dial that in. Is nutrition, like I said, the foundation of all health and fitness, 78% of your results. Supplementation, I still get kickback on this. Most people think they can still get it from their food, and I'm just going to give you a quick example. Is in order to get enough of vitamin E, which is about 400 to 800 international units, that's the optimal dosage of vitamin E, which is a big antioxidant. It really helps the cardiovascular system. In order to get that from food alone, you'd have to do about 33 pounds of spinach or 2.2 pounds of almonds. Yes, you can get it from food, but it's just not very practical. So you want to get some of your vitamins and minerals and things like that from your food, but then fill in the gaps with some good supplementation. We're not talking about any of the Dr. Oz magic supplements. We're talking about a good multivitamin, multimineral, omega-3s, and I would even venture to say a probiotic to help with your digestive health. Number 3, we want to deal with resistance training, increase that lean muscle. Remember I said the lean muscle is going to be 20 to 50 calories, and you can do it in such a way that's going to rev up your metabolism. And then that's going to be more efficient than doing the old, if anybody remembers back to the days of like the machines in the health club where you do 3 sets of 10 on everything and you rest 1 minute, very generic, very vanilla, very boring. And so doing circuit type training and doing things that get your heart rate up and challenge your muscle mass is going to help you increase your metabolism by adding muscle, and we're going to create an afterburn effect. Same thing with cardiovascular exercise. If your number one priority is fat loss, you want to be doing shorter, higher intensity bursts of cardio. Meaning, if you're in really good shape, that's getting on a treadmill, doing a jog, followed by a sprint, jog, sprint, doing some intervals like that. Maybe if you're not and you're just getting going, you can also do this on elliptical. You get on elliptical, maybe you go at level 3 for 2 minutes, and kick it up to level 6 for a minute, go back to level 3. You can also do things like, let's say you're on an exercise bike, you go get on an exercise bike and you pedal for 2 minutes, jump off, do some jumping jacks or some plyometrics, kettlebell swings. Hard for a minute, get that heart rate up, get your huffing and puffing, jump back on. What that does is it actually sets up a hormonal environment to help you burn fat much more efficiently than doing the long, slow distance ones. Now, if you're training for a running race, great. You have your long runs and things like that. You got to look at what's important. If your number one goal is fat loss, you want to do short, high-intensity bouts of cardio because you're going to burn more calories after the workout, and you're going to create the hormonal environment that's optimal for burning fat. Number 5 is just having a coach help you get through knowledge, support, and accountability, and progressions. How often do we do a program, we do the same thing over and over again? Our body's very, very smart. So the job of a coach is to make sure your body doesn't plateau, keep you progressing along, and also to support you and help you break through obstacles. Because there will be obstacles in any big goal that you have in life, and that's what a good coach will do, is help you look at the obstacles and how you can get around them instead of getting frustrated and quitting, which is where a lot of people do when they try to do it on their own. So we want to kill some sacred cows, fat-burning cardio. The fat-burning cardio, the long, slow distance won't get it done. It's not just calories in, calories out. Weight gain that happened over years won't go away in a few months, and the scale is not the best litmus test. And I'll just give you a quick synopsis. I was on the scale like last year. I did a bodybuilding show, and I was at 195, very, very lean. And after that thing was over, I went out and had a meal at a Mexican restaurant, and the next morning my wife made me pancakes. So I had a couple cheat meals right after that. In a matter of less than 24 hours, I went from 195 to 207. Did I gain 12 pounds of fat? No. I gained water weight. And especially with women, with hormonal changes that throughout in the month, that's going to add water weight. If you eat out and you have a little extra sodium, things like that can add weight and it can trick you. You're not gaining fat, but the scale is going to trick you, and you don't want to use a scale. You want to look at how your clothes fit, and you want to use the body comp as your best litmus test. So don't get stuck on the scale. I know that's a hard one for a lot of people to overcome, but we don't want to become skinny fat, and we're going to talk about that here in a few minutes. So let's just talk about conventional diets real quick. What the problem is we see, a lot of people just focus on weight loss. I mean, there's places you play by the pound. There, I got it. And they just focus on weight loss. They don't really tell you about what kind of weight you're losing. And we want to make sure we're losing the right kind of weight, so it's permanent weight loss. And a lot of times, if it's a lot of muscle, a lot of fat, that's what's going to set up a yo-yo effect. So when I was in college, we learned 3,500 calories was to gain or lose a pound of fat. So if I cut 500 calories in a combination of exercising more and eating less per day, over 7 days, if I kept that up, that would be 3,500 calories over a week. That would be a pound of fat. On the flip side, if I ate an extra 500 calories a day, if I'm trying to gain weight, like I was a football player, that would be gaining a pound at the end of the week. So that's what we were taught. It was all about the numbers. But in theory, if I'm 200 pounds and I want to reduce my calories by 1,000 calories per day, that would be 2 pounds a week. By the end of the first year, I would be at 104 pounds less. I would be at 96. It was just about the numbers. Not saying calories aren't important, but this just shows you how there's a little bit of a contradiction here when you actually do the math. By the end of the second year, you'd be negative 8 pounds, I believe. So it doesn't work real well. So a lot of conventional diets are going to help you. You're going to lose weight if you're going to lose muscle because you're basically putting your body in starvation mode. And when you go into starvation mode, your body's going to start getting rid of the tissue that causes calories. And remember, at the beginning of this webinar, I talked about what is that tissue. It's muscle tissue, and it's going to store fat because fat is stored energy because that's kind of its insurance policy. That's energy stores in case of an emergency, but it'll actually slow things down because muscle costs it energy, so it wants to conserve energy. So when you're starving, your body's starving, it doesn't want to burn more energy. It wants to slow everything down so you can conserve energy and go into a survival mode. And a lot of conventional diets do this. They create that starve off the muscle and just keep the fat. And a lot of them don't include exercise. Just go to the weight loss center, check in, weigh in, and then they weigh in and they don't really care about what kind of weight you're losing. So let's just take an example. Let's say Joe or Jane Dieter, in this case, because we're doing Beauty Body Makeover with a Jane Dieter, 40-year-old woman, has had a few kids, 170 pounds, has put on a little bit of baby weight and hasn't been able to get it off. It's 27% body fat. So she's not the obese, but she's in the upper 20s, which is a little bit over the healthy range. So she needs to start dropping some weight. She's averaging about 2,500 calories a day. Doesn't really eat at breakfast, but gets hungry at lunch and dinner and eats a lot of her big meals later in the day. And she is kind of fed up, so she decides, I'm going to go join this weight loss center. And guess what? They're going to drop her calories down about 1,000 calories per day, and she drops to 160 pounds after 2 weeks. She feels sluggish. She's tired, but hey, you know what? The scale's telling her what she wants to hear. So let's keep going with this thing. Well, eventually she's going to hit a plateau, right? So now they're going to cut it down to 1,000 calories per day. They're going to cut it another 500. Her weight continues to drop. She's tired. She's sluggish. It's all about the willpower now. And she's got a lot of cravings, but she's going to keep going because the scale keeps telling her what she wants to hear. Afterwards, she gets done. She's 140 pounds after 10 weeks. Her body fat's down to 24%. Now, remember, it was 27% before. What this translated, and she lost 30 pounds and only 2% body fat. So the real story is she lost a lot of lean tissue and water weight, lost only 6 pounds of body fat. So the majority of her weight loss was not fat weight because she put her body in starvation mode. And the result equals the skinny fat look, where you have somebody who loses weight, but they don't really get any more tone. They become a smaller version of themselves, and they can look kind of flabby at the end of a weight loss thing when somebody let the air out of their skin or something like that. So we don't want to look skinny fat. We want to look lean and toned. And so what does Jane do? Like most people, she's human. She falls off, right? She gets back into some of her old bad eating habits, start to creep up on her. Maybe it was the holidays, whatever throws her off. And even though she's eating less calories now, because she has less muscle mass than before, she starts to gain the weight back. So she goes up even at a higher weight, and now look at her body fat percentage. It's 5% higher, even though she's eating less calories. That's because she's sabotaging metabolism by killing off that lean muscle. And what does she do? She goes back to the diet center because that's where she lost the weight before, right? and she says, I failed the diet, but really the diet failed her because the diet didn't address body composition. It just addressed weight. And she repeats this cycle over and over again, and it might be a different diet. If she's not the weight loss center, it's the next diet. It's the HCG, it's the Atkins, whatever it is. It's just going to keep the cycle going, and we want to break the cycle here tonight. So we're going to talk about 8 simple guidelines to break the cycle. Small, frequent meals throughout the day. There's 2 reasons we do this. One is our metabolism is kind of like a fire. We want to throw kindling on the fire often and keep it stoked. That also helps keep our blood sugar stable. And the one meal I look at is when we're saying 5 meals, we're not saying you got to sit down and have 5, breakfast, lunch, dinner type meals. We're having our 3 squares, breakfast, lunch, and dinner with 2 snacks. And that second meal, that afternoon snack, when people skip that, a lot of times they're trying to get done with work, get home, they're not hungry. A lot of times I see when they skip that meal, their blood sugar drops, and by the time they get home, they overeat at dinner. So that helps keep the blood sugar stable. It keeps the metabolism moving, and it spreads the calories out so they're much more usable throughout the day, and that helps keep you from overeating at later in the day. And number 2, we go to breakfast like a king, lunch like a queen, dinner like a prince. Most of our country eats about the majority of its calories after 7 p.m. We don't want to skip breakfast. Breakfast is like starting up fires. It's like starting up your grill. It fires up your metabolism. And here's a good tip. One of my friends who's a dietitian said, it's just look at food as like sleep. If you don't get sleep, your body's going to make up for it somewhere. When you haven't slept for a while and then all of a sudden you just crash. Same thing's going to happen here. If you're not eating enough earlier in the day, guess what? At night, it's going to start cranking up on you. You're going to start eating more at night, which is the worst time to eat. And you're eating most of your calories at night, but right before you close to your bedtime, and that's going to promote fat gain versus fat loss. So eat breakfast, a bigger breakfast, a little lighter lunch, a little lighter dinner, so you're paring it down throughout the day. And that's going to be key to that. Even if you're not hungry, you want to be eating generally about every 3 hours. So these 2 are really important things. Get in the habit of doing that. It means you got to carry some snacks with you. It might be a good meal replacement bar. It might be some nuts. It might be some of these things like that are easy to carry with you and throw them in your purse. Or keep them in your desk at work, but you don't want to skip those, and you don't want to go 5-6 hours without eating, because typically that's going to lead to a lower blood sugar and eating more calories. Step 3 is, this is a big one we see a lot of times, people just don't eat enough protein. Protein is important for building, for muscle, for maintaining and building muscle, as well as skin and hair, but people think of it like that, but what we want to do is we want to use protein for its hormonal benefits, is because one of the things protein does is it helps keep blood sugar stable and keeps you feeling full. And that is key when it comes to help losing body fat. If stable blood sugar equals your body then primed for fat loss. And if we're eating carbs, even good carbohydrates on their own without protein, we're still going to have higher than we want blood sugar levels and insulin levels, which is going to keep us, it's going to be much easier to keep fat on the body like a sponge, and it's going to be a lot harder to lose fat. So having some protein and fairly equal to your carbohydrate, we always say gram for gram, but people, even if you come up a little short, that's okay. But a lot of times I'll see people, when I first look at their fitness pal, they're doing like 60, 70 grams of carbohydrate with 5 grams of protein. They're way out of balance, and it's about bringing these 2 nutrients in balance. And when you start eating more protein, it's going to help your body, like I said, build that muscle and maintain that muscle, but it's also going to help you feel like you're going to be able to eat less. I mean, think about if you ate a bag of potato chips, you could eat the whole bag probably. That's a lot of carbohydrate. Or, you think about like pretzels, things like that. You can eat the whole bag. Think about meats and eggs and things like that. You probably can't eat a ton of that without that feeling full. I mean, I know like if you eat like even a lean cut of steak, you can't eat like 16 ounces unless like anybody's seen like John Candy in The Great Outdoors. He does that huge steak, but it just sits in you. But protein does help you feel full, and it also is kind of cool nutrient that it actually requires more calories from your body to be burned to actually process it, much more than carbohydrate or fat. So it is a pretty important nutrient. And one thing you might want to write down is, general rule of thumb is we say about 20 to 30 grams at a meal and about 10 to 20 grams at a snack. People are like, how much protein should I be eating? With women, that's typically where I want them to sit. And about an ounce of meat is about 7 grams of protein generally. An egg white is about 3 grams. A whole egg is about 6 grams of protein. Greek yogurt and things like that, you can easily get there with 20 grams of protein. So it's not as hard to do as you think, but the big ones, that's why I'm spending some time on that I see a lot of when I look at food journals. It's just really weak on the protein. We're not trying to turn you into like bodybuilders or football players here, but most women I see are real carb heavy and not enough protein. Number 4 is kind of like, well, yeah, I get it, fast and fried foods. The reason I put this one up there is because a lot of people salad at Chipotle or Subway, or that's adequate. The problem with a lot of these fast food places, even though they have healthier choices now, there's a lot of extra hidden calories in there. There's a lot of sodium. There's a lot of chemicals in there. Now, not to say that you know if you don't have any other options, this is once in a while type thing. But eating out and eating at the fast food places, even on the healthy, so-called healthy menu, is still going to hamper your progress. So you're going to have to get in the habit of preparing meals, lunches, dinners, snacks, and not going the easy route. If you do have to go to fast food, you can get a taco salad at Chipotle. Don't eat the big, you don't need to eat the big taco shell or the burrito. You can do a taco salad. Jimmy John's has unwich, which you don't need all the processed breads that they have at their places. Better than getting the foot-long sub or something at Subway. But my point here is that a lot of these places, now some of them are putting their calories up there, but they're not always putting some of the amounts of chemicals and preservatives and sodium that are in there too, which will help make you hold extra weight. Number 5, white, simple sugars and snacky foods. We always say, like, with carbohydrates, white is the devil. So white pasta, white noodles, popcorn, these type of things are going to spike your blood sugar. When you spike your blood sugar, your body releases insulin to control your blood sugar. And the more you spike, the higher the spike, the more insulin that's going to be released. Insulin is a storage hormone. So when you have high levels of insulin, guess what your body's really good at? Storing, not burning. And so we want to limit these foods. And if we do eat them, we want to eat them with protein or with good fats. But I would really stay away from these things, these white sugars, white bread. Be careful of some of the yogurts. I would get all your yogurt in a plain yogurt and add your own fruit in. If the yogurt, even though they pitch it as healthy, when they add the fake fruit in there, that's refined sugar. The caribou drinks, those type of things. Lots of sugar in there and fat. When you put sugar and fat together, that's a deadly 1-2 punch. That's really going to sabotage your metabolism. This is one of the biggest things I think we want to spend time on, because when you are spiking your blood sugar, even if it's one time per day, it takes your body a while to get it back under control. And if your blood sugar is being spiked daily, it's a reason why you're staying stuck. So you got to get your blood sugar down to a more stable level. That'll get your insulin to a lower level. Hormonally, that puts you in a prime environment for burning body fat. And the frustrating part with a lot of people is I'll look at the food journals. They're eating a lot of healthy things today, but they're having that one sugar thing every day, and they're not getting heavier. But they're not losing weight either. They're stuck in neutral. They're not going in forward or reverse. So you really have to start eliminating these things. And going back to, I talked about pretzels earlier. So let's just take carbohydrate here. 2 carbohydrates. Let's say you're at a party and you got a bowl of pretzels and a bowl of apples. Which bowl do you think is getting refilled? You don't see anybody camping out at the apple bowl eating all the apples. They're eating the pretzels. They're eating the snacky foods. Think about a Super Bowl party. If you were to put a bunch of apples out, would somebody keep eating the whole bowl of apples? But if you put some chips out, things like that, you keep eating those type of foods. And those are the snacky foods that drive blood sugar up. Think of those foods you keep eating, they never really satisfy, and you just almost keep eating them because you crave them more and more. So you really want to avoid those foods like the plague. Stick with more whole food sources when it comes to your carbohydrates, fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains, like things like oatmeal, brown rice, wild rice, sweet potatoes, those type of things. Quinoa is a really good one. Those are the type of things you want to be emphasizing. And when it comes to bread, be real careful with bread. The bread I recommend is Ezekiel bread. Ezekiel bread is a non-processed bread. You'll find it in the health food section of most of your stores. And you have to keep it in the fridge. And you know why? Because it doesn't have the preservatives and additives in it. But it actually has tortillas and different bread you can try. They also have one called Rudy's, which is really similar to that. But, let's think of a sprouted grain bread if you're going to use a bread. And then if you are going to eat some of these, like I said, these higher carb meals, make sure you have some protein so the blood sugar doesn't go off out of whack and really sets you up for a big insulin spike, which is going to be hampering your efforts to lose body fat. Number 6, you want to be drinking at least 8 12-ounce glasses of water per day. Really, we want to do about half your body weight in ounces. But this is a good place to start because most people aren't doing even 8. And you can track this in MyFitnessPal, but it helps you burn off fat because it keeps your body flushed out of toxins. Toxins hamper fat loss. Also helps with digestion and removing things from the digestive system, which is going to help you have a flatter stomach. It also helps in terms of your liver and kidneys. Your liver and kidneys are important. Obviously, they're important organs, but your liver is a big fat metabolizing organ. If you get dehydrated by not drinking enough water, your kidneys will not function without the help of the liver. So if the liver has to help the kidneys continue to function, it can't focus on fat metabolism. It's almost like it's got to shut off the fat burning switch and divert the switch over to help the kidneys function. So drinking a lot of water is real important. I would recommend getting, dealing with bottled water. I like reverse osmosis. I really like distilled water. And use it in some of your teas and things like that because it's going to help you flush those things out. It's going to make your skin look better. And it's probably the most inexpensive but one of the most effective nutrients there is. Number 7 is fiber content. Most women are going to be, we want to be looking at 25 grams a day. The average person is about 12 to 13 grams a day. And get it from veggies, nuts, things like that. It's also something you could supplement in, but most people fall way short of that. And that's also going to make you feel full, and it's also going to help control blood sugar, just like protein. So it works a lot like protein in that sense. It also kind of tricks when you're eating a lot of vegetables, it tricks your body into thinking you ate a lot of calories, and it'll actually pick up your metabolism. So it's almost like a false positive to your metabolism to crank that up and digest a lot of this food. Even though there's not a lot of calories there, it thinks it is because a lot of high fiber foods have a lot of volume, meaning there's a lot of surface area but not a lot of calories. Number 8, this is a big one because I see this is public enemy number 2. If public enemy number 1 is sugar, public enemy number 2 is alcohol because it acts a lot like sugar and processed carbohydrate when it hits your body, and it basically shuts down your fat burning and creates inflammation in the body. And there's the calories you get from alcohol are empty calories, meaning that the calories you get from food, fats, proteins, and carbohydrates, all can be assigned to do something in your body. They can be used for energy, they can be used for repair, for protein, but the calories from alcohol, which is 7 calories per gram, really can't do anything. You're just throwing excess empty calories into your body. So if you're doing the 1 or 2 glasses of wine a night or the beer a night after work, that is really going to hamper your efforts. You really want to eliminate that. I can't tell you how many people I've seen when they eliminate alcohol content or they really cut it back to maybe once a week from every night, they drop a lot of body weight pretty quickly, and a lot of times it'll keep a lot of extra bloating on you as well. So those are your 8 simple guidelines. Where do you get started? What I would recommend is first thing, if you haven't done this for a while, some of you guys have done this, but is we look at doing a cleanse. And we're not talking about some crazy Hollywood cleanse where you just you eat juice and don't starve yourself. We're talking about restoring balance to your digestive tract. And more we're finding out that this has a real direct effect on your overall health. Like they talk about breast cancer for women, but you see right there the statistic: every 9 seconds somebody dies from colon cancer. That's a big deal, and it's actually equal to breast cancer in women right now. And they're doing a lot of research at the U, and they're actually starting to link gut health to things like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's even. So there's a real health connection there. So we want to start there because a lot of times people have been eating, drinking things, maybe they've been on medications that have messed up their digestive tract, which is going to make it hard to absorb the good stuff and get rid of the bad stuff. You figure you got 30 feet of hose basically down there, and if that's not moving right, a lot of times that's going to cause problems. And even if you are eating really healthy food and you're trying to get the energy and the nutrients from it, it's going to be somewhat limited. And it actually was on another webinar, and the guy was saying that he had talked to a doctor from Mayo, and they said there can be up to about 28 pounds of undigested food or fecal matter in your intestines. It's pretty gross, but that's a lot of excess bloat and weight that you could be holding that could be really weighing you down. Kind of a nasty statistic, but it shows you how important it is to just go in and make sure that digestive tract's working right. You should actually be going every single day to the bathroom, and a lot of people aren't. And that's not a good thing because that's one of the ways that your body gets rid of waste and toxins. So you want to be detoxifying your body every day. And the real important about restoring this is you basically want to get rid of the bad stuff and absorb the good stuff. And that's key to really having a healthy functioning metabolism. It's a lot like the lint trap in your dryer. When your dryer quits working, what do? We go in and clean the lint trap out, and then the dryer starts to work again. Liken that to your metabolism. The cleanse we recommend has fiber, some probiotics, which are good bacteria, and some herbals, so that can help naturally get things moving along. That's the first step I would recommend, is getting a cleanse. And a lot of times you'll lose weight on a cleanse, but sometimes it's not necessarily going to be a lot of fat weight. It's a lot of times the gunk that your body's storing in there you don't realize. Like you said, you could have up to 28 pounds, according to the doctor from the Mayo Clinic, stuck up in there. And most people are not that high. It probably depends on the size of the person, but that's a good first step to go after. Another thing you want to start doing is tracking your food. Now, everybody in this challenge is going to be using myfitnesspal.com. It's really easy. It's a free app. You can put it on your phone. Very easy to use, very popular. A lot of people, it syncs up with a lot of things. So you got to track what you want to improve. Most people have no idea what they're putting in there. I can't tell you how many aha moments I've seen with people when they start tracking their food, they don't really realize how many calories certain things are eating, or eating like that steak at night with 1,000 calories at 8 o'clock at night. It just helps them even on their own without a coach even looking at, start to see things that they're doing and make adjustments. And it also makes you more conscious of what you're doing. Now there's some feedback of what you're putting in your body. So that's another important thing. You have to track your food. And if you don't do that, it's going to be really, really hard to be successful. And the nice thing is this day and age, with those apps and things like that, it makes it much easier to do this and follow through with this, and gives you much more realistic numbers. Exercise. Like we said, we want a multi-pronged attack. So we recommend cardio 2 to 4 times a week. If you've been doing something for a while, like running or biking, time to mix it up. You got to keep your body guessing. One of the things that one of my favorite gurus in the fitness industry says is make your body inefficient. So if you've been running because of the nice weather, and you want to still run, well, just change your route or run some hills or do some sprints, do something different. That even if you want to continue to run, you got to do something different. If you're still doing the same 4-mile loop you've done for the last 3 months, and you wonder why your body's not losing weight, that's probably why. Do something you like, because your neighbor runs and you don't like to run doesn't mean you have to run. And keep the intensity high. Like I said, mix intervals in there. Try different things. Boxing's real good. Depends on where you're at fitness level. Maybe you power walk and jog outside. Maybe you start, you do some hills. Maybe you do some kettlebell swings or jumping jacks in between your elliptical if you have a home gym, whatever it is. 2 to 4 times a week, high intensity cardio. Strength training 2 to 4 times a week, and we mean total body metabolic style, not bodybuilder style, where we start going, I'm going to do bicep curls on the bench, I'm going to do the thigh master machine at the club. I'm talking about total body metabolic style, and that means, like, instead of doing the butt blaster machine at the club, do kettlebell swings, because it trains the hamstrings, the back of the legs, the butt, the core, the upper and lower back. You get a lot of muscles moving. It actually makes you more athletic too, because your body's meant to work as a unit. You're going to burn more calories during the workout. You're going to get the heart rate up there, which is going to create a higher level of human growth hormone. And your human growth hormone is a fat-burning hormone that is going to be elevated in your body and help your body burn fat naturally. And it's also going to give you that afterburn effect. So by doing high-intensity strength and cardio 24 to 36 hours when you're done, your body's going to still be burning calories at an elevated rate, kind of like the afterburn. It's just still revved up in a sense. You don't get that from doing, an hour at the moderate, walking pace on an elliptical or a treadmill. You just don't get that. Or even a jog. Maybe you run a 9 or 10 minute mile comfortably. You're not going to get the same effect. So the idea here is you want to stimulate those fat burning hormones, and then by controlling your nutrition, you're stifling the fat storing hormones. And then movement, flexibility, and stability 5 times a week. Now, everybody in this program get an FMS screen, a functional screen. This is where we start to figure out where do you need to be working on, where do you need to focus. You might have real flexible hamstrings, and you don't even need to stretch your hamstrings. You might have issues in other parts of your body, and that's where we want to be focusing on and make sure that we're keeping your body well balanced, keeping your FMS score high. And that means you move well. It means your joints are working well, your posture is pretty lined up, and you're pretty well balanced throughout your body, and that's going to keep that other fat-throwing hormone cortisol at bay. And so we want to make sure you're feeling good as you're working out. And I'll tell you what, one of the biggest killers of motivation and drive and momentum is getting injured. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen too, because I've had a lot of people come in my studio that were in good shape and they got a bad injury because they didn't do this part, and that just killed their momentum, and then it goes in a downward spiral from there, where they actually end up they're sitting at the home injured on the couch, and that leads into eating and all kinds of things, maybe having a few brewskis or whatever it is. But we want to make sure we're keeping you moving well so you can train hard, but then not worry about getting injured. Here's a few of our people that have done really well. Start out with the 20-40 challenge, and I'll explain that. Julia, who works at our studio, started with this 20-40 challenge, and she dropped a bunch of weight. And she had come in and had been a member at a big club and had tried some of the products we use, but she wasn't coached. She didn't have a good coach. She didn't have anybody coaching her, and this is what she did. Once she got a good coach, somebody that really cared about her results, 11% body fat, 28 inches. Tiffany below was doing some group training with us and needed some lifestyle changes, wasn't really doing a lot of things that were healthy, hanging out in the casino, a lot of drinking beer with softball, but, did some group training and did our 24-day challenge and was seeing great results, dropped about 30 pounds. You can see right there in the pictures some of her results. Cindy was a person that we worked with over at her business at first, and she dropped her pant size down, and then she also got more flexible. I mean, she couldn't even get her hands below her knees. When she went to touch her toes, she could touch her toes. She got rid of the lift in her leg. You can see she went from a size 18-20 to a 14, 30 pounds, and she had a home gym in Owatonna and got some good guidance. And, this is pretty good, 4.3% in 6 weeks. You can see the difference in her, how much healthier she looks. And then Michelle, she was one that did get injured. She was a Pilates teacher, injured her back, got really out of shape. And a year later, here she is. She started out doing, our 24-day challenge and kept going with her eating and the habits she learned there. And this is her a year later doing a fitness show. I know that's an extreme goal, but it just shows you what's possible with a little dedication and focus. These are just some of the women that we worked with in the past. I think we can talk nutrition and all these things all we want, but if we don't have some real stories to back it up, it doesn't really mean a whole lot to you guys. So what is the 24-day challenge? The 24-day challenge, it's our system, it's our kickstart system. It's not an end-all, be-all, it's not a quick fix. But what we do see with the 24-day challenge is we do see people lose about 5 to 10 pounds and about 5 to 10 inches of body fat over 24 days, which is really good because it helps them get a kickstart into better healthy habits. Now, after 24 days, you don't stop. You keep going with, your habits you learn in the 24-day challenge. And we do the 24-day challenge. We give you a special nutrition guide to step up from what we gave you for the Beauty Body Makeover. Our exercise plan a little more for you. I know we're giving you stuff for this Beauty Body Makeover challenge. And then we give you the Out of Care 24-day challenge products, which include our cleanse kit, which we go over with you. You also get some special extra nutrition coaching emails and videos. And typically we'll sell it. The value is about $254. We sell it for $199. Body Makeover, we're going to do it for $175, which is going to last through the 15th, which is the last day of the Beauty Body Makeover Challenge. And I say that some people need to do this whole transformation things in steps. I mean, some people need to start with exercise and feel like they're getting some momentum with that, and then they want to add in the nutrition. Some people can do both at the same time. But we want to provide a solution for you guys that helps you get maybe a little more structure. If you feel more structure, you also have the option just to follow the stuff that we put out there and do the Fitness Pal to start out there if you're comfortable there. But if you want to take that nutrition up a notch over these next 4 weeks, this is what I would recommend. This is what our best clients, our best success stories have used to get started. And like I said, this isn't 24 days and we're going to get you, 40 pounds off. It's really just to get you some momentum in this department and some extra coaching on top of what you might already be getting with the Beauty Body Makeover. So with that being said, I'm just going to maybe turn it over if anybody's got any questions. Otherwise, this is being recorded, and if you want to watch it again, you can sure do that. I'll post it on the Facebook page, and I'll put it in an email as well. Other than that, I'm just going to hang out here, and I think if we have any questions, you can either type in the chat box. You can ask it right now. All right. Well, I must have done such an awesome job. Nobody has any questions. Well, feel free after this. I know it's a lot of information, but feel free to watch this again. We'll get this up on a YouTube video, and we'll be doing more nutrition stuff as we go along through this. Next week, we're planning to do a grocery tour, which is a great hands-on way to go out and look at some food labels. But I thank everybody for being here tonight. Hopefully this was a good use of your time, and we look forward to helping you have a lot of success in this Beauty Body Makeover Challenge. And if you do want to do the 24-day challenge, you want more information, please just reach out to me and we'll get you set up with one of our trainers. I'm sure if you have more questions, we definitely will answer them for you. But other than that, I don't want to take up any more of your time. Everybody have a great night, and we look forward to hopefully seeing some of you at the Wednesday night group workout for the Beauty Body Makeover. Thanks a lot and have a great night.
Thank you.